Hi, and welcome to Rise, Heal, and Grow. I'm Leah M. Hill. This show is a podcast production of Apollo Sunrise Center, which is a health, wellness, and spiritual retreat center in Merrimack, Massachusetts. On this show, we shine the light on those who nurture wellness and inspire positive change. My guest today is Dianne Braley. She is an award-winning author, a registered nurse, and a YouTube host. Welcome, Dianne.
Hi, Leah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Apollo Sunrise.
Oh, thank you. And what I want to do is first get an understanding of your, what shaped your writing, because you've written 2 novels that we'll talk about, but you grew up in Revere, Massachusetts.
Yes. Yeah, I did.
And what was that like for you?
Oh, wow. I mean, Revere, I think most people from around here, it's a very interesting city, and it's changed so much over the years.
Yeah, it kind of has its own vibe, right?
Oh, it has its own vibe, yeah.
That's what I think.
And growing up there was, you can take the girl out of Revere, but
right,
you know,
you're still a Revere girl, no matter what.
it was interesting. You know, it's blue collar, tough city, and we grew up with lesser means and did the best we could. It was an interesting experience.
Yeah, but you grew up in a family that experienced a lot of dysfunction, addiction, a lot of issues that really, do you think, shaped the type of writing that you do?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Inner city, blue collar. My father was a truck driver. My mother was a nurse, and writing for me was an escape then. And I was writing in sort of creating worlds and building worlds to sort of escape my own, because it was right. I grew up in alcoholism, and it was tough.
That's how you had to cope, right?
Yeah, I don't think I knew it at the time, but yeah, no, I think that was it was an outlet, and I think it's a common story that people creative sort of sometimes escape right. their lives.
To create your own world and your own characters. But what I think is interesting about your work and what you had talked about in the past is about, survival is what for you was like outrunning your past. That's what you thought it was. Is that the same now, or has that changed? Can you really outrun your past?
That's a great question. Yes, it absolutely, I was trying to outrun my past, and I did. I ran to Martha's Vineyard, the beautiful place where bad things don't happen, or so I thought. Because addiction dysfunction is everywhere, and wherever you go, there you are. So if you don't sort of work on yourself and deal with some traumas or whatever you might have, things start to come to the surface.
Absolutely. But then you ended up in a career that was very intense, dealing with lots of trauma all the time as a registered nurse and in a special area, right?
Multiple areas in nursing, but I ended up in nursing. I think, again, you'll see nurses sometimes too. A lot of nurses gravitate to, a lot of people who grow up in dysfunction or things with addiction or things like that, we become healers or fixers.
Yes.
And I eventually became I was a nurse for a very famous author, which is interesting because I'm a writer, and that was always what I wanted to do. Oh, wow. But I also became a sexual assault nurse examiner. That was an area of nursing that I really always wanted to try, and I did that for a time, among many other things. And nursing is a great career for moving around and also burning out pretty fast. But
well, I imagine, yes, dealing with all of that trauma as a sexual assault nurse examiner. Yeah. That is like face to face with trauma every single day. No wonder it's a high burnout rate as well.
And I in all honesty and full disclosure, I did that for a time, and that was, I really wanted to work with women and do that. And I didn't know the state of Massachusetts, it's funded by the state, and it's very, very low pay. They have such a low budget for these nurses and what they do.
Which does not make sense, but
no,
yeah,
it doesn't.
Right.
And you also lumped into not just doing women's health, but pediatrics, and I wasn't prepared to do that.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I felt like that should be its own subset, and I struggled.
I imagine. Yeah. It takes. I mean, I don't think I could ever do it, but I'm very grateful for the people who do that, who are able to help those children with those kinds of sexual
Yes, and
trauma needs. Yeah.
Just because you're a nurse or in the medical profession, just like any job, it's not all encompassing. I never felt like I could do for seeing children sick or in a situation where they might have been assaulted. That was not what I sort of could handle well. So that was a lot, and I just moved to another.
To another aspect, definitely. So let's talk about that. So you ended up in Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, and very different from Revere, Massachusetts, right?
That
very
was the
different
point.
environment. So that was your, like intentional escape, really? Was that it for you?
It was. I had been there. I went on a trip there when I was in my early 20s. I mean, Martha's Vineyard wasn't someplace we went to. We went across the street to Revere Beach. Right. That was our vacation. Right. So this was a big deal, but I stepped on the sand in Vineyard Haven and I said, I am absolutely in love with this island.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I'm going to live here one day. And things just sort of my father ended up succumbing to his addiction. He was an alcoholic and struggled greatly. He was a very dedicated alcoholic, I always say. And he got sober for 7 years, though, and he helped many, many people across the North Shore get sober. He became a drug and alcohol counselor.
Really?
He did. But then he succumbed to his addiction. And at the same time, what was going on in the early 90s around here in 2000s was a lot of addiction and Oxycontin and then heroin. And it became very dark around here. And I just needed to go.
Right.
I needed to get out.
So you did. So you were still a nurse, and you ended up taking care of a Pulitzer Prize-winning author on Martha's Vineyard as a nurse.
I did.
Wow.
I don't know how I stumbled into.
I was going to say how you could even make that happen.
I know.
I believe the universe makes these things happen.
Absolutely.
So definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I moved there and became a nurse at the hospital. I just called them and I said, "Are you hiring?" "Yes, we are." And I became involved with a man who I thought was just absolutely, that this was it. Check the box. Everything's coming together. I'm on Martha's Vineyard. We're going to build a house. He's a carpenter and all this. And then that really wasn't going to happen because lots of red flags and he had his own issues. But at the same time, I started picking up work with this famous author who, William Styron, he wrote Sophie's Choice, is what he's best known for. An Oscar-winning movie it became, and Pulitzer Prize winner. And I'm working, and I left the hospital, but I became pregnant with my son, and I started working full-time for him because my shift wasn't available. And this was a very interesting experience. And my life was sort of falling apart on one side.
Right.
And this side was, I'm around all these creatives and Carly Simon, James Taylor, Kurt Vonnegut, Mia Farrow.
Oh my gosh.
The presidents are coming over. I don't even really realize it at the time how impressive this all is.
Right. But now that you look back on it, you're like, oh my God, right?
Yeah. No, I was like, I was so wrapped up in my own sort of
well, yeah, that was
turmoil.
a lot going on. Yeah,
there was a lot going on. But I always say with Mr. Styron, I was with him so often. I was with him 7 days a week. I became his full-time nurse.
Wow.
And his family's sort of nurse. And I ended up going to Connecticut and living with them in their guest house and then coming back in the summer. And we became quite codependent on each other. Me and this crotchety melancholy genius became my absolute grounding force at the time, and as my personal life is absolutely spiraling out of control. So,
oh my goodness. Yeah. And it kind of held it all together for you.
It did. In
that time, and inspired you to write your own novel, your first novel as well.
It took many years later.
Okay.
I am with this man I'm answering his mail from people, and I'm actually reading. I was embarrassed. I had not read Sophie's Choice. And
oh gosh!
I know. I felt well, and I was reading it, hiding it from him, and then he caught me.
Oh no!
And he said, "What are you reading?" And I said,
"Oh no!"
And he saw the cover, and
oh gosh!
And he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Oh my God, what do you think?" I mean, you really need to ask me.
Yeah, you loved it. Yeah.
But I started thinking about writing again, and I wrote as a child. That was my dream. I want to be a writer. But growing up, as I said, And I love where I'm from. I love my roots. I'm very proud of them. I think we all go through a period where you don't like it that much, but love, revere, love where I'm from. But growing up in that city, I don't think becoming a writer wasn't something.
Right. It was like a
did.
fantasy, maybe.
It was
to
a
you.
fantasy
It was like,
or a hobby.
Yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to do it, but gosh, I'd never be able to make it a living or make a living from
And that
it.
was all.
So
When you grow up in the inner city,
that's all you could do.
you got to put food on the table.
Yeah.
You have to have job stability. Those are the terms that come
Right.
around. So
Right.
writing, it's like, oh yeah, do that after you become a nurse or a plumber or
Right.
whatever.
In your
it
free
is.
time.
In your free time, you do
And
that.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big challenge for, I think, all writers as well.
Well, I think some of it
to
a little
really-
bit. They might, depending on
Yeah.
socioeconomic status. But I think, you got to pay the bills
Right.
at some level, and
Yeah.
writing doesn't always pan out
Definitely.
that way.
So tell us about this first novel that you wrote when you were ready to finally write it and put it together, The Silence in the Sound.
Yes. So a couple of years after Mr. Styron ended up passing away, and became my husband at the time, this man that I was involved in, and he was an addict, and I went everything I ran from, I ran right to.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and my life sort of fell apart on my beautiful island, and I moved back here, and had to sort of start from scratch. And
you were a single mother then,
Single
too.
mother.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
really starting from scratch.
yeah,
Right.
and that was my dream, to never leave there. That was it for
Yeah.
me, and it was really it was very hard. And I started taking notes, and just here and there, and I might write. Okay, and this went on for a couple of years, just taking
Okay.
notes, and ultimately it took me 8 years to write this novel, and teaching myself also how to write, because I didn't go to school for this, and teaching myself how to edit, and all the nuances that go with publishing and trying to get
Oh
published.
gosh,
And
yeah.
oh my,
That's a whole career in itself.
had
No.
I known. I'm very happy and love writing, but had I known.
Yeah, how much work it is, and
Yeah.
then the marketing and
I think when
all that
I
stuff.
realized that it was already
Yeah.
almost right there. I was done and in my third round of editing, going, I don't think I can do this. But what do you do?
Right.
It's
It's got to get out.
it's gotta.
That's what I say.
I've already just killed myself with this.
You've
but-
got to get it out there. Yeah.
And going through all writing, this book was largely inspired by this time in my life, and growing up in alcoholism. It's a young nurse who escapes her life of dysfunction and heads to Martha's Vineyard and becomes the nurse for a Pulitzer Prize-winning author, very famous author. So it's very largely inspired by my life. So it was very cathartic and extremely hard to write.
Yeah, but that takes a tremendous amount of courage. I mean, that is to be, first of all, to make the decision to leave the addictive relationship with a child, knowing you're going into single motherhood, heading in that direction, and writing a book, which, as we know, as we just said, isn't exactly, just easy. Let's just write it and get it out and get it printed and it's out there on Amazon. It doesn't happen that easy, but you did it. And that is a tremendous amount of courage.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Sometimes you just need to hear that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you do. And then, so then years later, you also wrote your second novel, right?
I did,
Is that
because
the
when you
story?
write one novel, I guess you're supposed to write a second
I
novel.
know, that's what they say. I know, that's why I'm still working on mine. But yes, we have a copy of your second novel, the most recent.
Yes.
Which is called The Summer Before. See if we can hold it up here. So this also takes place on Martha's Vineyard, is that right?
Set in Martha's Vineyard in Boston. It's inspired, apparently I like to write things inspired by actual
Well,
events.
sure, yeah.
And it's about another difficult sort of topic. I guess I like to write about darker, really challenging experiences and things. But this took place. Well, this is about something that happened on the outskirts of my life. A family member that was charged and convicted with assaulting his daughter's best friend.
Oh, no.
Which was
oh, my God.
horrific.
Oh,
Absolutely
yes.
horrific.
Oh, my God. So you were present during the trial? Did you follow the trial and you knew what was
didn't not go to the trial. This caused such an upheaval in our lives.
Oh God,
and,
yeah. Wow.
You know, I think a lot of times we think about the victims and their families, and you don't think about the perpetrator and the people that all are around them and their families and loved ones. Okay. And this
That's
person,
a good point.
Again, was on the sort of outskirts of my life in the, not the nuclear family, but I listened to the trial. And this, again, caused so much turmoil with everyone had different, oh, he didn't do it just because he's ours. And other people, he just did do it. And
Oh, you mean so people were in your family were discussing whether or not it was true?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And
now I get it. Yeah.
I think that's very common. That's what happens, you know. And I struggled so much with this because I tend, especially having been a sexual assault nurse examiner and a nurse, I believe the victims. I tend to go through that first. And I listened to the trial. I said, I'm going to listen to the trial. So I got the audio of the trial.
So you were ready for that. I mean, you were like mentally prepared to listen to this because this was going to be
I have to do that.
The down and dirty, everything.
Yes. And I didn't go to the trial, and I wouldn't support that. Him. I need to know. So I listened to the trial, and what struck me was obviously listening to the victim, and horrific, and broke me. But what struck me was listening to his daughter testify at the end. And when the prosecutor asked her, is there any way that you could believe your father did this at all? And he was trying to make the woman, the female, sorry, I got them confused. She was trying to make a point like, is there any world you could believe he did it? Meaning, because he's your father, you wouldn't. She started screaming and crying and said, "Oh no! How could I? How could I?" And she's 17 years old.
Yeah.
And I heard this is someone I've been around. I know.
Right.
And this broke me.
Oh, absolutely! I can imagine. Oh my God.
But everything sort of spun on its head, and I thought, writing from her perspective. Writing from that perspective is something that we don't talk about that.
So this book, the Summer Before, is writing from her perspective, where her father is the accused. My goodness!
They're best friends on the island, and obviously this is it's fiction inspired
by the true story, though. Oh my goodness!
And she has to come to she starts out now coming off a suicide attempt, and later on in college. And she's going to travel and start navigating what the real truth is, because she's finally starting to see. Yeah. And she's kind of confronting her mother and going through all this and working with a therapist. And she's going back to Martha's Vineyard to sort of see it, travel through this and really work it out and come to terms with this.
Oh my gosh. Well, this book has been on my nightstand since actually November at Voices of the Valley. When I bought the book, you were at the Apollo Sunrise Center's book festival back in November. And I bought the book and I had it on my nightstand because it's on my next book to read list. And but now hearing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just putting the others aside because I'm going to start this now.
And it's
heavy, but it's so needed. I think
it's important. It's very important. And there's so many. We hear every day about these people getting convicted of these crimes, and we hear about the victims, and we need to hear from the victims. But these perpetrators, they have children too. They have mothers and people that are greatly affected, and sort of they're lumped in with them a lot.
Absolutely, we blame the whole family if it's one.
Even the mother who's screaming, my son didn't do it, or she's still a victim.
She can't,
the more we bring light to this subject, and the more we are openly discussing and have a dialogue about this, the less it takes its power away, and more comes to light, and the more we bring awareness to it, and hopefully it won't happen as much.
Absolutely. It reminds me of someone who said that to me years ago. It was very similar to, or the same of what you just said. And she said that the actual power is in the hands of the abuser until the truth is told.
Absolutely.
Until the truth is told. So even though there are these family members close to the perpetrator, to the abuser, or the accused, let's say, who are in denial, they're like, no, it can't be, because he's a nice guy, and he's always nice to people, and, a good man and a good heart. And it's like, how can you can't just, turn it off and go, oh gosh, this is the truth. You can't just accept it all at once, I guess is what I'm saying. And that's what your book is about. It sounds like the journey to acceptance.
And that's actually great what you said. And in my writing, in my experience, I've actually found when I write my first book too, when I wrote sort of my father, I actually didn't mean for that book to be so much about addiction and dealing with Georgette, the protagonist, and her father and all of that. And it sort of led that way. But I find that I have more empathy for people or these characters than I do in real life.
Oh.
So in the summer before, the same...
Interesting.
All this turmoil I had with family members, and I'm going, how could you think this? Because... And I started having a lot more empathy for some of these characters going, like you just said, it's a process. That's very hard to just take in, that someone is this monster.
It's so heavy, right.
And also, these monsters, it's not just so one-dimensional.
Yeah.
A lot of them are...
That's why.
Just because two things can be true, and people need to accept this, to accept the gravity of this, that the person can be a great son or brother,
yes,
and still be this.
Absolutely. Or the life of the party, right? The one who everybody, looks up to, everybody.
Usually that's true.
Loves this person, cares for this person, and yet there's this other side. Absolutely true, 100%. And that's, I think, why the denial is so prevalent, because it's so hard for us to accept that this would be, someone in our family, the shame, the public shame, all of that, but also about loyalty too, the loyalty to the family as well. I think we still carry a lot of that energy or that belief that, the family is the most important. That's the unit. You have to, you have to cover it up. You have to hide from it. You have to figure out how to deal with it within the family.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And Madeline in the summer before, that's what she's grappling with, is her, for this to be true for her.
Okay.
Meant sort of everything she ever knew that existed, because her father was a god to her.
Oh, so
everything she ever knew isn't real.
Oh my God.
So she's coming to terms with that. Just, this can be true, but also her childhood can be real.
Yeah.
He took her fishing, or he did these things, and these are true too.
Right.
And coming to sort of terms with all that is, and there's some great things in the book too with, not to just be, it's not completely so hard to read and dark. And it's actually because it's being written from this perspective, I didn't have to get into great detail, from a victim's perspective. I wouldn't want to take that on.
Okay.
But she's also a magazine writer, and she writes for arts and about art and culture. So she's going in this traveling and all these architects and artifacts through Boston and Martha's Vineyard are sort of proving that she was real and her childhood was real because of all her memories.
Yes.
And she's going through. The Citgo sign plays a very important role in this book.
Yes, and if you're local, you know about the Citgo sign.
Yes, the Citgo sign is very,
landmark.
It might have saved someone's life in this book. It's a landmark, and for some reason I kept having dreams that I have to incorporate the Citgo sign into this book, and I have no idea why.
Well, why not? Right.
Why not? Why not?
So, I mean, this whole topic of honesty is a lot of what it sounds like your writing's about, and we'll talk about your show too as well, your YouTube show, which is called Wicked Honest, right? So we're talking about honesty here. And but why is, I mean, we know honesty is powerful, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the truth, the power that it carries, but it's also very threatening to a lot of people.
It is. Because
it forces them, all of us, to face a truth like that. And like your character in the novel, that like forcing her to face the truth that this godfather that she looked up to was fallible, someone who was infallible. Hard. Oh gosh, yeah.
And that's hard for a lot of people, but it's not. It's not that hard for me, and I think I've had some. I think people that can be brutally honest. I've run into some struggles in life here and there with that. But, and I have people very close with me that can't. It's very hard to see things, and some people have a process and have to take some time for that, and that's okay. And sometimes being really honest is
it's messy, right? It's messy and uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but it's still real.
It's real, and I think that's a product of growing up in Revere, too. I think one thing we could say about people from Revere, most of us are pretty real. So.
I guess it kind of toughens you up in a way.
It does.
Yeah. And it also helps that, as we are on this healing journey, it's not only messy and uncomfortable and it's ugly when you're doing the ugly cry and all of the primal rage that comes out during the journey, but I think it's important for people to understand, and what it sounds like you talk about in your writing is it's non-linear. It's not like you just go from point A to point B and then you're healed. It's a non-linear process. It's up and down. Even your own example of your father, that was on the sober track for many years and then backslid at the end. It's like I think for some reason we have this in our head that the healing journey is just like straightforward, moving forward, and that's it.
Oh, and that's absolutely wrong. Because I'll tell you this, right? When you think that you're healed, you'll find very quickly you're not.
Right. And something throws you off.
Something throws you off. And for example, in healing for me, I've always used the word healing, and I just read in this book today about healing, and I'm not going to use that term anymore because healing means that there's something wrong with you. And I don't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like, no, I think we all have a shadow self, and we all have things that we might not like or want some things that are different. But healing, I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with me, or I'm not going to speak for everyone else. So that's, again,
it's just your own unique journey.
My journey's
whatever it is.
It's ever evolving.
Yes, your ever evolving journey. So that is great. I mean, there's so much we could talk about here, but I do want to talk about Wicked Honest and what it's going. So it hasn't started yet, right? But it's
the first episode. The intro came out, and then the second episode airs tonight.
Tonight. Okay.
Yeah,
we got good timing.
YouTube, Wicked Honest, and it's an interesting. Wicked Honest. The title Wicked, meaning wicked's a very Boston term.
Oh yeah.
We say wicked a lot, so
it's wicked good.
Everything's sort of wicked.
Yeah.
So Wicked Honest, and so it's two. It's myself and one of my closest friends. She's a nurse too, and we are sort of wacky. We're real, raw Boston girls, women.
Telling it like it is.
Telling it like it is. But then we also have Wicked Honest True Crime coming out, and
that sounds interesting.
I wasn't going to do it, but my third book is on submission. My next book I'm writing right now is about a real cold case that happened in the area. The murder of Susan Taraskowitz. And we are taking this YouTube show and we're exhausting this case. I'm working with 2 retired police officers on this book. So this is a very famous case in the North Shore.
Okay.
And so I think you guys should tune in because we just need to bring light to this.
I am totally intrigued. Yes. Yes.
And True Crime will start in a couple of weeks. So right now you get Wicked Honest, just us 2 wacky North Shore gals.
I love it. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to look for it tonight. Definitely.
Thank you.
So tell us how to contact you, how we can get your books. We know where to find you on YouTube at Wicked Honest, but if we want to get your books or reach out to you, how do we do that?
So I'm on all the socials.
On social media?
Exhausting my marketing. So, I'm on Instagram, Dianne C. Braley, Twitter, Facebook, everything, TikTok.
Okay, we can
I do have my website, Dianne C. Braley. I have a blog once a month, And you can keep abreast of anything that's going on
what
in
you got
in this kind
coming
of
out.
nutty
Yeah.
world and all the things that I'm always doing. So.
Well, I'm really excited for these things, and I'm really appreciative of what you do, because I can see where your courage from way back those years ago that you talked about with taking that big step in your life, how that courage has kept you going all through the years to now.
I
the
don't
next
think I'm
big
leaving
thing.
here.
Yeah, I think you're going to stay a while.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
But it was a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having
Dianne.
me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
being here. And thank you, all of you, for listening or watching here on Rise, Heal, and Grow with Leah M. Hill. And please join us again soon, as well as like, share, and comment, and subscribe to our channel on whatever platform you're joining us on. We've got lots more episodes coming up.